where I am, God is. So what's the problem? The problem is that what we hold in our conscious knowing becomes our activity. And what is our activity becomes our history, and what is our history becomes our culture. And for a very long time, we have been in a culture that has taught us that where we are, sin is, the devil is, evil is. So this is what we've held in our collective consciousness. This is what we have held in our cultural activity as we come together in spiritual community. And that's the problem. And I would even go further to say that's like the big problem, the community problem. The individual problem is relationship. Because we may sit in our own chairs and say, yes, where I am, God is. God is the faith in me. I am God in action. I am the hands and the feet of God. And we get up and we forget almost immediately as we enter into relationship with someone else, because now I have an expectation. I expect you to be nice to me. I expect you to accept me. Expectation. And then if you don't meet my expectation, now we have a real problem. I expected you to fix me. I expected your acceptance of me to heal me, to take care of that insecurity I've been walking around with. So if I'm walking around in my individual experiences with that expectation, and now we have a culture that we come together in collective spiritual community, and I'm expecting the church to fix me, I'm walking in broken. And what I hold in consciousness becomes my activity. What is my activity becomes my history. And what is my history becomes my culture. And we have a culture that we have engaged in willingly and created together of brokenness. So I'm not here today to deconstruct church so that we can do away with it. I love church. I've been spending a lot of time at church lately. You know, I came into Unity Institute and Seminary saying, don't take my Jesus, don't take my Bible. And they took my Jesus and they took my Bible and they expanded my understanding. Opened me up, allowed me, taught me how to open myself up to a new experience of spiritual practice. But that was my work. I came here and got the tools. Just like when we go to church, we get tools. But it's up to us to make the experience. So, I'm reminded. I like haunted houses and stuff. And so I had this friend who moved into a new big house, like a really old house that you just know is haunted. And so I went to visit for the first time. I was getting my tour, and we passed a corridor with a room down at the end. I'm like, hey, oh, well, the light bulb burned out in that room, and we don't go in there anyway. I haven't gotten around to fix it. You don't want to go there. And I'm thinking, that's where the ghosts are. So I'm like, so why don't you go in there? Well, because it's dark in there. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The light bulb burned out, and you don't want to fix it because it's not a room that you go into, and you don't go in there because it's dark. Now, being the good seminary student I realize immediately that will preach, okay? I'm going to take that to church and talk about that, because isn't that what we do in the dark rooms of our own souls? It's dark over there. I don't want to go in there. Yet we are the light, right? Where I am, God is. If I go there, guess what? Light. But we get stuck in this story, right? We hold this belief that there is some darkness about me. There is some sickness. There is some fear. There is something about me that is not cool. And I don't want to go there. It hurts. And that belief becomes my activity, and that activity becomes my history, and that history becomes my culture. And then I take it to relationship, and I take it to church. So, if we back up, and we take the responsibility to go light those places in our own souls and our hearts that we think are dark, then when we come together in relationship, when we come together in spiritual community, we become the light for each other. And then when you forget to light that room in your house, I'm the light for you. And when I forget, you're the light for me. And then that activity becomes our history, and that history becomes our culture. So this is the invitation to transform our experience in spiritual community. And when we do that, we heal. Now, you may say, okay, well, that's very idealistic. And when I get around to doing that, it all works out. The math kind of, it adds up and all that. But, yeah, well, it is ideal. We're here to talk about the ideal. We can only and always strive for the ideal. And in practice, how that turns out, how that looks in our lives, when it's painful, when it's ugly, when it's gross, when we don't want to be there, if we continue to be the light for ourselves and for each other, we reach into healing and we create the healing experiences, and that never, read my lips, never looks pretty. That's not supposed to. Nobody is expecting that. Nobody is saying that. So do not hear that. I cannot go to church unless I'm the light. The light. Saying my affirmations, I'm at peace. All is well, all is good, it's all good. No, nobody is saying that. I'm not saying that. Let me not speak for you. I'm not saying that. Are you saying that? I'm not saying that. None of my professors here have said that. Myra never has said that to me. Okay, that's not what we're saying. So yes, be ugly, be gross, be hurt, be in pain, and come here so that we can be the light for you, and then you be the light for yourself, and then you be the light for me, and then you get healed, and then you get healed, and you get healed, and you get healed, and and everybody gets healed, right? And that becomes our spiritual community. That becomes our spiritual experience together. Where I am, God is.